But yeah, the whole movie, because it's so 90s. Oh, I forgot to do my 90s hair.
Oh, yeah, that was a constant. That even flew across my head way.
Now I got 90s hair. We have nostalgia attached to this movie.
Of course.
Enough. So could you recommend it to someone who doesn't have the nostalgia?
Commandos, secure the perimeter. Tap all communications. Let's roll some armor. We got us a war to win.
And welcome to another episode of The List. I'm your host, Enterprise. You think sometimes? Felix. Commandos! Let's get into this shit, man. I always call it toy soldiers. It is not toy soldiers. It's 1998 small soldiers.
Yeah.
When missile technology is used to enhance toy action figures, the toys soon begin to take their battle programming too seriously.
That's such a fucking 90s theme way.
It is the most 90s shit ever. They combined essentially two movies in Toy Story and Gremlins. And when this movie came out, Felix and I were 7 years old.
And watched it in the theater. And now as a grown-ass man, I remember being a tad afraid of this movie because it's rated PG-13. And we were halfway through the age limit. I mean, we were in Mexico when all this started, and Mexicans don't give a fuck about ratings.
It doesn't, but at the same time, the movie makes it feel like it's a very juvenile kiddie thing because we're talking about toys.
Mm-hmm.
Producers actually stepped away and to change the tone to be more kid friendly. It was originally supposed to be 13. But there's like a little back and forth, and some of it is PG-13 and some of it doesn't. That's why some of it is weird, especially like the melting Barbies part. That part's terrifying.
Oh, that whole sequence in her room was Jesus Christ.
And I remember being freaked out watching it.
I was freaked out watching the fucking soldiers.
Right. The whole thing has a very PG-13 tone, and it even got them in trouble because there was a partnership with them and Burger King to sell the toys and all that good stuff.
Oh, I remember those.
And when Burger King found out it was actually PG-13, they got him into a trouble like, hey, what the hell's wrong with you? And they almost pulled out the whole thing, but they ended up selling the toys anyway. I
can't believe that they made me fear the human-like figures more than the monsters.
Yeah, that's like the
holy shit.
That's the dichotomy between the movie. Like you're supposed to hate the bad guys, but the bad guys are the good guys, which is really cool. You don't really see that even back then, that juxtaposition so much where the bad guys are the good guys and the good guys are the bad guys, which was another reason why they didn't want the military to be the bad guys. So there was a lot of conflict between like behind the scenes for this whole movie.
And if they wanted to do the movie right now, with all that's happening, I don't think. Do you think it would be made as it was made back then, like the themes and
they could, yeah, like all the time the military or the government, or they flip them to be the bad guys, and there's.
But they were openly bad way. I mean, at the end of the movie, there's a line where I was like, oh fuck way.
Yeah, it's heavy for kids, but it feels like it's a kid movie, but it's totally not.
It's a fucked up kid movie.
It's a fucked up kid movie. Kristen Dunst is in this, which I forgot she was in. I think this came after Jumanji. Yeah.
Yes, it did.
This was after Jumanji. David Cross, the comedian as well. Jay Moore, Dennis Leary,
Phil Hartman.
Wait. This was Phil Hartman's last live action movie.
Oh, that was his last. What? Oh,
he did a lot. He did some voiceover afterwards.
Yeah, I remember.
But this came before his tragic death.
Oh, damn! Because I remember Phil Hartman in News Radio. I loved him, and in this movie, even him being an asshole, I still love him.
He just has an asshole face, to be honest.
The voice for me, it's the voice.
It's just the way he carried himself, acting, the way he acts like an asshole is probably top notch of all time. Yeah. But weirdly enough, they spend more money on the voice acting than the actual actors. You have Tommy Lee is fantastic as the commander.
I shit you not.
I never knew it was Tommy Lee Jones until this morning when I watched the movie.
The way he says "Commandos," he says it like 40 times throughout the whole film, and I giggled every time.
Commandos.
Originally, they wanted Arnold,
No,
and the rest, the cast of the Predators, to play the Commandos elite.
I get it, but
instead, the rest of the cast was given to the Dirty Dozen movie, an older movie.
I want to see that movie.
We might add it to the list for a future video. Yeah, sure, why not? And I didn't know this. Christina Ricci and Sarah Michelle Gellar voiced some of the melted, deformed, creepy Barbies.
Oh my god, two of my childhood crushes gave me nightmares now that I think about it.
Yeah, but we didn't know going in, of course.
No,
it was weird. That whole scene is freaky as hell.
Yeah, that I get why that was PG-13, because that was fucked up. They were melting Barbies,
attacking
them into soldiers.
Yeah.
That's nightmare Barbie.
So crazy.
Nightmare fuel.
What's also crazy to me is that they're like a thing in the future, like a thing like, holy shit, you can do that in the movie. It was 3D printing, and that is now a legit thing. That is now a legit thing. They 3D printed in this movie the toy soldiers, and I was like, oh, crazy new technology that's never gonna happen. That's
the way they printed him. Maybe that's a fucking hoax.
Yeah,
but the
just the 3D printing. Yeah, the
principle is.
Yeah, the principle of 3D printing is there, and it's kind of like, whoa, we're in the future, dog.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Fuck, dude.
It was also hilarious how they got their hands on weapons-grade military chips.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
He just infiltrated the thing. Okay. Which is a lot of, bringing it back to the Gremlins, it's like this Toy Story and Gremlins. That was like the whole focal point of the movie. There's a Gremlin reference with the password being Gizmo, and there's also a Gizmo keychain in the trash, which is like, okay. But yeah, the whole movie, because it's so 90s. Oh, I forgot to do my 90s hair.
Oh, yeah, that was a constant. That even flew across my headway.
Now I got 90s hair. Now I'm ready to, even though I'm halfway through this video. I forgot. Damn, I got a big ass forehead, dog. I got my 90s hair going. How is that 90? No violations of any kind of labor laws, leaving the kid in charge of a whole store. It's a whole business.
That is shady as fuck.
He's a child, and he's gonna take this whole thing, which is great. Like, do you remember going to stores like that before they became non-existent? Thank you, Jeff Bezos.
Yes, I actually did, and it was one of the most happy moments in my childhood because there was so much toys that I just couldn't fathom it.
Yeah, and you have to like pick one. Your mom's like, pick one. And you're like, fuck, but I want 5. You're running around grabbing all this shit. It was great. But even in this movie, that was dying already. That wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, because even the dad says no war toys, and that excludes a huge market of toys.
Yeah. Even for this movie being almost more than 20 years old, we're coming up on 25. The CGI blends pretty decently with the live action shots. I guess they hold up. It's okay because of how blocky the characters are and over the top the figures are.
The whole design of the Commandos does help.
Yeah,
because they're just cartoons.
Yeah,
plastic cartoons, and that helps a lot. I mean, you can obviously see when it's CGI, but it actually is pretty fluent.
But it blends, but it takes you a second. It blends. Like when they're talking mostly, it's CGI. You can tell the movements are different.
And the animatronics are actually pretty good.
I think Spielberg was a producer behind this, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm just saying, it holds up. I've seen worse caca, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, definitely.
You can see that they're toys. You can see what they're trying to do. Yes, it's a little wonky, but blending that with like real live action stuff, it works. You know, it works pretty. It works pretty well. Another thing that had to rework and rewrite around was the posters that came after.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So even in the movie, when he gets like those stand-in posters of the Commandos.
Which look pretty dope.
You have Chip Hazzard pointing a gun at you.
Oh yeah.
So after that, for the movie release, if you look at the posters now, his hands are empty because they had to go in there and rework the art in the poster because the original art looked too violent because he's pointing a fucking gun at you. So that's why his hand looks a little weird if you look at it now. He's not pointing, he's just kind of like grabbing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had a gun in there.
It's like a weird, like a kung fu grip type thing. Oh my god. When Chip grabs, there's this dude called Nick Nitro who goes through a garbage disposal grinder. That was also kind of... Then he says, bring me his head.
Yeah.
He pops the head off. He strips the head. It was this creepy metal plastic looking skull.
Yeah.
He splits it open. He grabs the chip. Is like, his memory will live. I was like, what the fuck was this? Oh my god. I did not remember this being this dark. Wait.
It was weird. Like Frankenstein. That's how the Barbies come around. It's like he Frankenstein's his fallen comrade to make these zombified creepy zombies. It was weird. Towards the end though, I was like, why didn't he just keep the Gorgonites? He knows that their planet or their place doesn't exist. You're just gonna let these toys go down this fucking goofy little river that's gonna probably end up, in the fucking hazardous whatever, and they're gonna melt and die. Why didn't he just keep them?
And there's another thing to this, and it just popped into my head right now. They're plastic.
Yeah.
And allegedly, in the movie, canon-wise, their batteries will never die. So they're conscious. They're immortal.
Correct.
What the fuck stops them from going nuts and doing some weird shit?
Oh, the Gorgonites?
Yes.
Because they're cowards.
Well, even cowards get crazy.
I know, but like even like throughout the whole movie, it's not much of a battle because they're hiding the whole time. So they're very cowardly, and I don't know. Don't scratch it too much because then we're gonna get a 25-year-old later sequel. So I want you to shut up. Small soldiers, dose. Oh fuck, Gorgonites are back. Oh fuck, he's gonna.
And there's gonna be a horror movie like Winnie Pooh.
Yeah, he's gotta fight iPods and shit. Some shit.
Which are now discontinued.
iPhones. Yeah, that's what I meant. Why don't you just keep them, bro? Just keep your toys and you can live happily ever after with these toys forever. And you're gonna let them go down this river. What happened?
They're gonna be eternal friends of yours.
Yeah, that's part of a little wonky.
Yeah, that was wonky.
We have nostalgia attached to this movie.
Of course. Enough.
So could you recommend it to someone who doesn't have the nostalgia? You think they'll get it? You think they'll understand? You think it'll hit them similar?
No.
It's a weird movie to recommend now, huh?
Yes, I would. This movie, like legit, I will not recommend it to anybody. Legit.
That's kind of harsh.
No, it's not. For me, it's not harsh because I've recommended some weird shit to people, and I think they're not gonna get this movie to the point that, a lot of people haven't seen this movie. And if I recommend it, they're like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
it's Toy Story Gremlins. It's nothing that crazy. We've watched and are going to see crazier shit than this. It's just that we have some nostalgia attached to it that maybe we can't expect others that don't have that nostalgia to even like give a shit to an extent. So it's a weird one to recommend.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't recommend this movie. To me, it's fun. To me, it's warm. It's fuzzy and takes me back to childhood, but I would not recommend this movie to anybody who hasn't seen it.
But is it as bad as probably this other stuff that came out in the 90s, like Batman Forever? Probably not. We have a video right here for you if you want to go watch it of us talking shit about Batman Forever for about 30 minutes. It's not out yet, but probably Gremlins is going to be linked around here somewhere in the future. So
shit. Make
sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and always and forever, you do you.
Bye-bye.
Mandos! That's my favorite part of the movie. Mando!
Commando?